Well, hello and welcome to Kerno EXP. Now, something slightly different, but on the steam theme again, folks. Now, we are at a classic Cornish mine site, and this mine site is called Wheal Unity Mine. Now, this engine house here before us is a WHIM, which is the winding engine which worked a series of flat rods which went down the valley, and it basically worked the pumps in the shaft to pump the water out. Now, water is a big problem in Cornwall mining area. Now, that's why this engine house in the background is there. Now, that is a pumping engine house, and it was designed to remove the water from the shaft. Now, this engine house, when it was working, worked 24 hours a day non-stop, because the water is a barrier. That barrier needs to be removed to allow the miners to work deep underground. Now, my own grandfather knew a lady, because I've got family connections to this area, that remember these engine houses working. Now, they've been stood derelict for over 70 or 80 years that I'm aware of. Now, the engine house over there, the pumping engine house, has got a lot of ironwork and furniture, i.e. mining related furniture, that held the head frame in situ. I don't think you can see them on the camera, but there's two iron bars hanging down on this side, and there is one on the other side as well. Now, on the bob wall, it has the original strengthening plates from where the bob was set there. So we'll go down and we'll have a little look, folks. Let's hope I don't fall over. Original oily staining from when the engine was being used. So there we are. Now, this engine house is quite impressive because it is fairly large. Now, the chimney. The reason why Cornish engine houses have chimneys is basically they were connected into the boilers, and the boiler, basically it's a long tube, a Cornish boiler that is, with a water jacket on the outside. You have a coal fire. The coal fire boils the water, which turns it into steam. Steam is piped off into the engine, which makes the engine work basically. The exhaust gases which go through the centre tube goes up through into the chimney and out the top. Now, the reason why they have a chimney is basically for draft. Draft on the fire draws the fire, makes more steam, therefore the engine runs very well indeed. Also, another thing to note, which you folks may not know about, Cornish engine houses. Now, the majority of Cornish engine houses, they start off with granite and concrete and whatever else the miners could find, and then you'll notice there's a band at the top, a brick band, and then the rest of the chimney is brick. Now, the reason why the top part is bricked is bricks are a lot lighter than blocks of granite, and that is the only reason, folks. Now, talking about chimneys, we're not far from the tallest chimney in Cornwall. It's connected to Hawks Engine House, and the actual mine was called Killafref, and that is the tallest chimney in Cornwall. And we're going to have a look at it on this video. We're not going to go physically right to it, but what I will show you right now, folks. There you go. Now, you see that engine house there? As I said, that's Hawks Engine House, or Hawks Shaft, and that chimney is the tallest one in Cornwall. And My own father was a part of a restoration work that they did there probably 9 years ago, and they stabilised the chimney and quite a few of the walls of the engine house. So looking at the small winding engine, right, so we're looking at the engine. Right at the top we've got the bob chamber, and that's where the bob was. The bob is the beam that provided the up and down motion into a rotary movement, which obviously was connected to flat rods, stamps, and so on and so forth. The middle chamber is where the top of the cylinder could have been accessed for maintenance, and then the bottom chamber, or that would be the driving floor, and that's where the controls of the engine was. Now below that, which is down, is the cataracts, and that is where all the levers and that would have been at the bottom. They would have had weights applied to them, and pulleys and what have you. So we're looking at the pump. The boiler house would have been this side of the engine house, and that probably would have been a stone foundation walls, and it could have been weatherboarding on the outside, and maybe a slate roof, but usually it was crinkly tin, galvanized metal roof, painted black with black bitumen. That is the what they usually look like. Now we're looking at, on the side at the bottom there, that is the doorway that goes from the boiler house into the engine house. There would have been a series of wooden steps there. The small window to the right is where the steam pipe would have went in, and yeah, very interesting. There's not much evidence on the side of this engine house of where the actual boiler house was buffed up to it, because usually what happened is there would have been a line of cement where they would have basically filled in the gap to stop any cold coming in, but I don't see that on this engine house, which is unusual. So it makes me wonder it was probably quite crudely done. If you were to note as well, up the top of the engine house, you can see that there's a different colour in the cement. So it makes me wonder, has this engine house been raised higher, or is that just a different mason? I don't know, but it's quite clear. Can you see the line, folks, in the different colour just above the window there? Very interesting indeed. Right, on we go. So this was later used by farmers probably in the 60s, 70s. You can see that there's a trough just there, and if you were to look on this side, you can see that there's a concrete foundation. So I think a farmer kind of tacked on a little tin shack on this. Now where the gate is, on the right of the gate, there's a lot of ivy over there. That probably was the mine smithy or workshop. It doesn't look like it now, but it was visible better a few years ago, but obviously the council don't really worry about cutting back stuff anymore. They used to, but I think they don't like spending money anymore. But there you go, that's nothing to do with me. So you can see just in front of us there's a doorway, or remains of. It's a bit difficult to see, but here's the part of the wall just here, folks. You can just see it, and don't know if that's in a doorway into it there or no. It might be. Anyway, let's have a look over the wall. I don't know what you can see in there. Not a lot, probably. There's no evidence for a chimney in there, so it's just probably a store of some description. So, to the left of the picture, you can see that there's a church spire. That is St Day churchyard. St Day was one of the richest mile in Cornwall at one time. and I'm proud to say that I've got family connections to that. Sounds like a lot of people having fun down there. So these cottages to the left here, these are original miners' cottages. They've been modernised over the years, but yeah, but this would make a nice museum, but obviously there's no money available for anything like that. So now, there's a ball there. We'll walk up round here now. Hopefully we got this video this time, because the previous video didn't record for whatever reason, I don't know. Never mind, eh? Never mind. So I hope you can hear me over the breeze. The woods down here is Unity Wood Mine, or Unity Woods, and my grandparents lived in a small hamlet of Todpole, which is just around the corner from here, and they used to collect firewood in there for their Cornish range. Right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. A look at Cornwall's history. We've got quite a few different explorers lined up, so keep yourselves posted. Hopefully next week, when I've got a day free, we'll go out and do some more explorers folk. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, put the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It is free, and of course we've got this gimbal now, so the videos should be a lot better. So I'll speak to you all soon. If you want to comment, I will reply fairly promptly, and if you have any suggestions for explorers in Cornwall, please comment and I will get back to you. Anyway folks, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Cheers and gone from Cornwall. Over and out.